This is K2 News at 11 on your side.
That report needs to be made public.
It is absolutely imperative that the Trump administration make that report public.
It's imperative for Mr. Barr to make the full report public.
Well, calls are pouring in tonight to release the Mueller report. Special counsel turned it in to the Attorney General today after nearly 2 years. A team of investigators has been looking into Russian interference in the 2016 election.
It resulted in dozens of people charged. Several have already been convicted, including a number in President Trump's orbit. But he is maintaining his innocence, frequently declaring no collusion.
And the president is at his Florida Beach Club tonight, spotted with White House lawyer Emmett Flood. The president hasn't responded to the report himself, but Press Secretary Sarah Sanders tweeted that they have not seen the report and look forward to the process taking its course. K2 national correspondent Scott Thuman is in Washington, D.C. with more.
All of Washington in a frenzy over this long-anticipated development and what happens next. After almost 2 years, special counsel Robert Mueller's work is done and in the hands of Attorney General William Barr, who quickly informed Congress. The probe's conclusion seems to indicate no more indictments. Some Republicans say that shows no collusion between the president and the Kremlin in the 2016 election and no obstruction of justice, something the president again claimed earlier Friday.
There was no collusion, there was no obstruction, everybody knows it. It's all a big hoax.
Skeptical, many Democrats are demanding to see the report, all of it.
I think we should wait for the full report to be made public before jumping to any conclusions. Public pressure will force it to be.
That, though, is ultimately up to the Justice Department and Mueller's team. But Barr, who said he could brief Congress as early as this weekend, wrote he's committed to, quote, as much transparency as possible. If there are no more indictments, does that mean the president's free and clear? That's a question a lot of people are asking tonight. The answer, not necessarily. There are congressional investigations still underway. There are federal and state ones like in New York. And of course, there are still always some calls for impeachment. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Political analysts across the country have a difficult task tonight, trying to read the tea leaves without knowing much about what's in the report. K2's Lincoln Graves is live in News Control. So what about local analysts, Lincoln?
Well, Deb, I spoke to Pacific University political science professor Jim Moore. We have turned to him for his expertise on a number of political issues, and he believes we probably already know much of what's in the report.
In the report itself, I'm not sure there's going to be much new because we've watched all the indictments and things come down over the past 18 months.
In other words, it's been a slow drip. There might not be much more to reveal, but he did say the report's completion is good news for President Trump and those vying to replace him. It doesn't matter what's in it. Both sides can use it to build a case for their point of view.
So there's something for everybody here, kind of a sense of finality, and for both sides moving to the next step. Good for the president. It's a long ways out from the election. Good for Democrats who are, trying to run for president right now. There's probably going to be a lot there they can refer to.
Now, Moore also says that although we have been waiting for a long time for this report to be finished, the Ken Starr investigation went on for much, much longer. Live in News Control, Lincoln Graves, K2 News.
Lincoln, thank you. K2's team of national correspondents at our bureau in Washington, D.C. will continue to cover breaking news developments throughout the weekend and into next week on the Mueller report. You can also keep track of the very latest on the K2 app and our website at KATU.com. This is new at 11. A bad crash closes a Northwest Portland road for several hours tonight. It happened on Front Avenue between Kittredge and 26th. Police say that a car hit a semi as it was turning, which then caused the car to roll. The driver and a dog were both seriously hurt and taken to the hospital. Because of how bad those injuries were, authorities closed Northwest Front to investigate.
Some new information tonight on the North Maple fire in Cowlitz County. It's now 100% contained. The fire started Wednesday, prompting evacuations in Walker Road. That's the area of Kelso that it was evacuated. Those have since been lifted. The fire burned about 30 to 40 acres.
The girlfriend of a man suspected of killing a Kittitas County deputy is talking to reporters. Olga Zambrano tells our sister station in Seattle that Juan Flores never planned on doing something like that. She says that he'd been acting strangely and took her car Tuesday. Later that night, Deputy Ryan Thompson pulled him over for road rage, and that led to a gun battle in which both Thompson and Flores were killed. The government says Flores was in the country illegally on an expired work visa. Washington lawmakers will decide whether to follow Oregon in expanding sanctuary status statewide. A bill on the matter had a public hearing today, and it would do things like limit the ability of police to ask about immigration status. It would also require schools, courthouses, and other facilities to adopt rules minimizing the risk that they could be used for immigration stops. Several Washington cities and counties already have sanctuary status.
Well, you saw it tonight here on KATU. 2020's report on one of the most notorious killers in Oregon history. In May of 1983, Diane Downs shot her 3 children, killing one of them. She also shot herself in the arm to make it look as if somebody else did it. Today, we talked to Ann Jagger, a reporter who has an intimate knowledge of the case. She covered the story and got letters from Downs. To this day, Jagger's mystified. What could make a mom do such a thing?
For her to take such aggressive action, holding a gun point blank to her children and shooting it repeatedly, that's unheard of in the annals of crime. We still don't hear of it.
Downs has never admitted guilt and never apologized. Jagger thinks she will die in prison without coming clean.
This is new at 11. The death toll continues to rise in East Africa after one of the largest cyclones in history slammed the region. Aid is barely trickling in, with some of the hardest hit areas still inaccessible. KATU's Chris Lytle is live at PDX tonight. And Chris, a Portland public health expert, is traveling there to assess all those urgent needs.
Yeah, Catherine, that's right. His flight took off here from PDX about an hour ago. He's part of a major nonprofit that's been to this region before for past disasters and emergencies. And while he is there, he has several major goals.
Drone video shows the devastation. The region remains paralyzed after Cyclone Idai swept through last week.
People are already suffering or already living in a very, very poor, under-resourced areas, and this is just a further shock.
Frank Tyler, the health advisor of Oregon-based nonprofit Medical Teams International, is deploying to Beira, Mozambique to help in the growing humanitarian crisis.
The goal is to really assess what the healthcare needs are for the populations affected and see if we can provide immediate life-saving healthcare to those in most need.
Tyler will coordinate with locals, teammates, and other organizations to construct clinics and determine how many nurses and doctors are needed.
And we'll probably start off with a team of about 16 to 20 people, and then based on the need and based on the resources we can get in, that could expand.
Going with him are bags full of much-needed medical supplies.
We have some diagnostic equipment, some personal protection, bandages and dressings.
In 24 hours, Tyler will be wheels down, making a difference where he can.
I can do a lot of good, so that's why I do it.
Yeah, Tyler tells me he expects to be there for about a month before returning home. For more on the services he plans to provide and ways you can help donate, we have that information posted to our website right now at KATU.com. Live at PDX, Chris Lytle, KATU News.
Chris, thank you. Time for Storm Tracker weather now. Joe English joins us, and he's filling in for Dave Selesky tonight. And so if you like rain, you're going to get that. And if you like sun, you'll get that as well.
Yeah, we've got one okay day coming up and one very, very nice day. It's the in-between part that could get a little interesting. We have showers on Saturday, lots of sunshine Sunday, and that transitional period that could build up into some thunderstorms and some hail. That's Saturday afternoon through the evening until the sun goes down. Then things get much nicer for the second half of the weekend. But for the first half, you see rain and snow showers for central and eastern Oregon. By Sunday, high pressure takes over, some warm wind coming up from the south. That's going to bump the temperatures up quite a bit. So here's what the next 48 hours looks like for the metro area. Clouds tomorrow morning, keep it a little warmer, and then there's your thunderstorms with a chance of some hail showers into the afternoon and evening. Clearing out Sunday morning, so a little cooler, but that sunshine warms us up into the low to mid 60s for Sunday. The rest of spring break, well, there's some rain on the way, but that means some fresh mountain snow and a couple of drier days as well. So it's not a complete washout. We'll talk about all of that coming up in your complete forecast less than 10 minutes from now.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Speaking of spring break, it's underway. You might be thinking about hitting the trails, but You need to be cautious. Late winter snow has melted at lower elevations, and that's left the trails muddy. Higher up, the snow and ice, that's still around, so you'll likely see some slick conditions. We talked to a hiking expert, and he says leave the sneakers at home, wear boots, and better yet, buy some spikes to wear over them.
Just increases your traction and bites into the snow and the ice a bit and allows you to get more traction. And they're pretty simple. You just really slip them on over your boots. But if you've got tennis shoes, that's better than nothing.
We saw evidence recently of just how slippery it is. 2 people fell while hiking the Multnomah Falls Trail earlier this month. Other advice for your next hike is bring a cell phone, food, water, and warm clothes.
2 more measles cases have been confirmed in our region. One of those diagnosed lives in Multnomah County and the other in Clackamas. According to the Oregon Health Authority, the patients got the virus from an Illinois resident who visited a Salem youth center last month. These are unrelated to the bigger outbreak in Clark County. These new cases also mean new potential exposure sites. We do have an updated list at KATU.com.
Well, this is just minutes away. A shocking attack. A priest stabbed repeatedly while delivering mass on live TV. How he's doing tonight.
And it's a fire that just won't die. We'll take you out to a chemical plant where the flames roared back to life for a second time.
And the Ducks go from underdogs to favorites in the next round of the NCAA tournament. What the team is saying about today's big win and who's up next. Those stories and more in just 2 minutes.